A rise in migrants causing a humanitarian crisis at the southern border. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder. The Biden administration has been repeating a message for migrants. Now is not the time to try to come into the United States. But for some Texas ranchers, that message is not helping. From cars full of migrants barreling through their property to smugglers with weapons. Some rangers say they have had enough. Abigail Robertson traveled to the border to find out what's being done to fix the problem.
Here in South Texas, the increasing number crossing the border isn't just affecting law enforcement. Local landowners must also deal daily with uninvited guests trespassing on their property.
It just seems to be getting worse and worse.
Justin Capadona described to CBN News his experience living in a border town.
We've had groups come up into our backyard on the backside and approach us looking for food and water.
And he says the groups are getting bigger.
I've seen anywhere between 15 and as many as 30 people come out of a vehicle.
Many ranchers are also experiencing damage to their personal property, constantly repairing fences and gates that are struck by vehicles fleeing law enforcement. And the property owners are left footing the bill.
Well, what ends up happening is you can see the vehicles will be coming down. If they're being chased by Border Patrol or Sheriff or DPS, what happens a lot of times is that at some point they decide that they can't get away, so they'll end up crashing through the fence. They usually take out a couple of posts here, bring the fence down, and then they'll get on a caliche road such as this, and they'll continue on, and then they'll go out into the ranch.
A neighboring rancher who requested to remain anonymous tells CBN News the trespassing groups are getting more frequent and aggressive, armed with high-powered weapons. And on their property, they're finding everything from drugs to dead bodies.
How do you fix it? I don't know. I think probably a combination of border wall and immigration policies.
In March, Governor Greg Abbott launched Operation Lone Star, deploying the Texas National Guard and Department of Public Safety to help improve air, ground, and marine security.
What DPS is doing is absolutely necessary. The governor is right by trying to do something down here, but it has a ripple effect that causes a negative impact on our communities throughout the state of Texas.
Sheriff Roy Boyd is 200 miles from the Rio Grande Valley, and his county still feels the problems at the border.
In Goliad County, as we're having stash sites that the cartel is using to store illegal aliens, to strip stolen trucks, to store and to move drugs towards the larger market in Houston.
But the resources now addressing immigration issues mean less law enforcement helping local citizens.
To be quite frank, the problem that we have with all of the efforts that we're doing right now is none of these efforts are actually designed to win the war that we are facing with our neighboring, country of Mexico and the cartels that reside there.
And the added security is expensive.
Texas is spending $2.5 million a week just with the highway patrol that's stationed here at the border. In addition to that, we have the National Guard who's here by order of the governor. That's another roughly $2 million a week that we're spending just in helping secure the border.
Texas Congressman Michael Cloud recently led a group of representatives to the border to see the crisis firsthand.
Just a few months ago, this crisis point was mitigated as a crisis. You're always going to have a little bit of tension at the border, but as the overwhelming crisis that we're seeing now did not exist because of the policies that were put in place by the Trump administration.
He warns this isn't just Texas's problem.
Now, the Biden solution to the surge at the border has been to transport everyone throughout the U.S. So this issue that we've known here in Texas for a while has been exacerbated, but now is being transported throughout communities throughout Texas. So it's been said that every town is now a border town, and you can see how that's playing out.
Cloud argues the answer is simple: return to policies that worked and finish Trump's border wall. Reporting from McAllen, Texas, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Thousands upon thousands each week. We will break down the numbers of the border surge when Faith Nation returns.
Finding video on CBN.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels. and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find, and now easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on cbn.com.
Introducing the CBN Bible from cbn.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN News Watch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Finding video on cbn.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels, and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find, and now easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on cbn.com.
Every day, 6,000 illegal immigrants are flooding into the United States across the border, creating a hotbed of drug smuggling and human trafficking, a combination that puts women and little girls at the greatest risk. Tara Mergener recently traveled to the Rio Grande Valley and brings us this report.
We're in the Rio Grande Valley looking across the river at Mexico. This is the busiest place for illegal immigration in the United States. It's our first visit since the change in administration, and the first time we've been told Border Patrol is not allowed to assist us. But thanks to the help of local law enforcement officials and private citizens, a glimpse at what many believe is a crisis growing out of control. Feet firmly on U.S. soil for the first time. A group of mostly Central American migrant mothers and children smiling on the homestretch. Like the 6,000 others per day reported to be going around official entries at Texas's southernmost point, they believe the journey is a success. What made you come to the United States now? Was there something you heard in your own country that made you decide this was a good time to come?
He saw in the news there was a new president and he had more opportunity.
Smugglers see more opportunity too as they navigate dangerous rip currents racing across the Rio Grande, one after the other, hour after hour. Mexican authorities watch it happen from the water as U.S. border agents manage dozens, even hundreds at a time, while also trying to keep cameras away.
Okay, can you please not interfere in our enforcement? Because this is private property. The government does not own this property, but they're telling us we have to leave right now. During
the commotion on shore, scouts give the all clear for another crossing. The the distance only about the length of a football field. This is the Mexican side of the border. In the sand, the footprints of thousands of migrants who've waited to cross into the U.S. with the help of a smuggler. It happens all day, every day. Fearing for her own safety, this resident asked we hide her identity. In the last couple months, how many rafts have you seen cross in the time you've been out here?
If I had to give you an estimate, I would say at least 60, 70 per day. Hundreds of people.
Most come from Central America, traveling weeks to get here. Nearly all claim to be fleeing violence and poverty. What will you do now that you're in the United States?
Pues aprovechar la oportunidad que se nos ha brindado ante todo, ¿verdad?
Along the way, many become victims of abuse and exploitation.
Teníamos en un bus como ese y se subieron en Veracruz. Un agente de la PGR nos revisó y nos quitó todo lo que traíamos, dinero.
Often at the hands of drug cartel members, they pay thousands of dollars to get them here.
Especially we have women and little girls coming in thousands. And we all know that women and little girls have a 60 to 80% chance of getting raped.
Not all who make the trip survive.
Sometimes see dead bodies floating and stuff because they try to make it across, or they get snagged on the bottom, or whatever reason they don't make it.
Still, many do, including the unaccompanied children crammed into this overflowing detention facility in Donna, Texas.
Every facility we have along the southwest border is over capacity right now. Just yesterday, we had over 10,000 people in Border Patrol custody. That's much higher, especially under COVID constraints, than any facility should have.
We saw makeshift facilities like this one under a bridge intended to go undetected by media and other observers. Migrants are then sent to area shelters and in a matter of hours, free to go.
They're released so they can continue their legal proceedings here in the United States, somewhere where they're going.
Only recently is the Border Patrol confirming the record numbers being released into the U.S. without court dates, as the system grows more overwhelmed by the day. In March alone, an estimated 171,000 plus entered the U.S. illegally, 5 times more than a year ago. By year's end, the number expected to reach more than 1 million.
As soon as they get up to this side, they go ahead and flag down Border Patrol because they want to get caught, because they know they're going to get processed and then shipped out to wherever they're going to get shipped out. They're not going to get deported back to their country.
Signs of the migrant surge, like these pants left behind, are obvious on the border. But experts say the problem is increasingly being felt across the nation in areas far from the Rio Grande Valley. In South Texas, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
A migrant illegally makes it across the border. Where do they go next? More exclusive reporting when Faith Nation returns.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world-class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians in
Iran
are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Saturday night at 6 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep,
You wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Welcome back. Border Patrol works to stop illegal immigrants from crossing the border into the United States. But inevitably, some do make it past. So where do they go? Tara Mergener continues her reporting from Texas.
Signs of the migrant surge, like these pants left behind, are obvious on the border. But experts say the problem is increasingly being felt across the nation in areas far from the Rio Grande Valley. Sneaking into Texas's Rio Grande Valley, now by the thousands per day. Most traveling through multiple countries to get here in search of the American dream.
Were you worried that once you got here, if they would let you in or not?
Yes, I was worried, but God granted this opportunity.
Record numbers taking that same chance, nearly all paying smugglers to get them here, then turning themselves into border agents. And within hours, dropped off by the dozens at area shelters. Bus stations.
We supply them with backpacks that'll have water and blankets, masks, a snack pack.
And even airports. On our plane to Dallas, migrants packed the flight, some with first-class tickets. Due to the lenient immigration policies now in place, most will never face a judge.
Usually you're given a court date and you are supposed to appear, which most don't appear, but at least you're given a court date. Now they're not even given a court date.
Once again, we have to begin with the rising cases of coronavirus in the U.S.
Not to mention, this is all happening during a pandemic. Forget temperature checks, as Border Patrol only tests migrants with symptoms. Others are checked at pop-up sites like this one at the Brownsville bus station. We saw how those testing positive were placed across the room from others, yet they still boarded buses bound for cities across the U.S., some likely spreading COVID along the way. Organizations like Catholic Charities are also in the middle of the chaos. The difference we saw is that they test hundreds of migrants each for the virus. Anyone testing positive packed into vans and sent to area hotels where they are urged.
We'll test them every single day until we see a negative test result. In the meantime, they get cared for, meals and anything they need.
But not forced to quarantine.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. For so long, we've been told, stay home. Kids cannot go back to school. Keep your business closed. I don't understand what their comprehension is, to allow so many people to come in.
According to law enforcement, that large number is also due to smugglers who are cashing in to the tune of billions of dollars.
Do you think that the increasing numbers coming over right now is going to create more opportunity for these smugglers?
Yes, I firmly believe that it's going to increase the numbers of stash houses. The individuals that are crossing the river, they pick them up along the river in a vehicle and bring them to an area such as this one here.
Migrants, some kidnapped, others running from the law themselves, are often kept in deplorable conditions as their keepers demand more money to take them deeper into the U.S., often along with drugs.
What kind of people hide in stash houses?
We've had elderly from males, females, female with a newborn, children.
Until recently, Border Patrol's intel team conducted hundreds of stash house raids per year. But we're told many have been reassigned to caring for the migrants once they cross the border, leaving law enforcement to catch smugglers on the next leg of the journey on the nation's highways and back roads.
They try alternative routes. They're always looking to find different routes to smuggle, whether it's humans or narcotics.
Hidalgo County constables are among those getting federal money to pay for overtime on border security. That includes traffic stops like this one, where we saw officers suspicious of a speeding car full of young men heading north. This is just one of a number of these stops just in the last, really few minutes.
Our deputies, along with Border Patrol, have conducted more than 8 to 10 traffic stops within the last 30 minutes. And obviously, they got one.
9295,
And as we learned of another disturbing trend, U.S. citizens are increasingly helping migrants evade authorities. All of this leading to the same question: who and how many more migrants get away each day? In Hidalgo County, Tara Mergener, CBN News.
The jungles of Colombia, the hotbed of drug smuggling and human trafficking. But exactly how are drug cartels pumping narcotics from there into the U.S.? We'll show you next.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Record amounts of cocaine are being pumped into the U.S. on the backs of immigrants flooding the border. A highway of human trafficking is winding through Colombia's treacherous Darien Gap, all benefiting drug cartels. CBN's Chuck Holton braved the jungle to bring us this first-hand look at the untold human suffering.
Every day, boats arrive here in the tiny Colombian border town of Capurganá. But these aren't tourists. They're migrants from all across the globe.
Most of them are from Africa, Pakistan, India, and Haiti, and some Cubans. It's a humanitarian crisis.
What should be an out-of-the-way fishing village has become the last off-ramp on a human trafficking highway that plunges right through the forbidding Darien Gap. These migrants aren't customers, they're products. And their desire to make it to the U.S. means big profits for the smugglers who send them into the jungle.
You know, I don't like to talk too loudly around here, but basically that's what they do. They pay the young kids here to be the mules. They take them over the mountains or through the, to the San Blas.
But there's another commodity here that's even more profitable: cocaine. This country has always been the #1 exporter of this illicit drug, but the amount being grown in Colombia today is near an all-time high.
With President Uribe, we got as small as 40,000 hectares. With President Santos, who sold to the world that he was the peace maker, we get into 300,000 hectares.
Eradication efforts haven't been as effective in recent years due to concerns about the health risks of spraying coca fields from the air. So Colombia has had to resort to methods which are less effective and much more dangerous.
We have 16 soldiers, policemen, and eradicators killed by mines because the guerrilla put mines everywhere around.
So I wanted to try and track this group of migrants we watched go into the Darien Gap on the Colombian side when they came out the other end. So I took a quick flight to Panama, and now I'm driving down to the Darien Gap on this side to try to meet them. And I think I figured out how these drug runners are taking advantage of the flow of migrants to move their product north. What they do is get local Colombian guys to put on backpacks full of cocaine, and then they salt them in with the migrants. That's because the migrants are getting preferential treatment from immigration officials at the border. See, the border's actually closed, but Colombian immigration officials told me they're being instructed to look the other way when the migrants come through. And so in that way, these guys can get their drugs north without being stopped at the border.
I made it to the camp where the migrants were being kept, but wasn't allowed to enter because of COVID restrictions. I did manage to get through on the phone to a 16-year-old Haitian migrant named Madesi.
Many people died. One woman drowned and 2 other men lost their wives. Many people died.
In all, 12 of the 70 or so migrants we witnessed at the start of their journey did not survive, including this 10-month-old baby who succumbed to dysentery. In addition, Madesi told me the entire group was robbed at gunpoint, and at least a dozen women were raped by cartel members. But the migrants keep coming. Locals say the number is up 4-fold in the last 2 months. The flow of cocaine is keeping pace as well. Panama seized more than 1.5 tons a week for the past year. But while the cartels have to evade authorities to move their drugs, the flow of people is much easier, because the migrants get support from local governments as they transit Central America. Victor Avila is a former ICE agent.
The cartels have taken over. We used to have the human traffickers and the human smugglers and the drug traffickers. That no longer exists. It's now all the cartels. You will encounter the cartels. You will have to pay the piso, the plaza, the quota to them, whether you're going to turn yourself in or not. These people are paying $3,500, $4,000 a head to even turn themselves in to seek asylum.
So whether it's Haitians or heroin, Cubans or cocaine, the narcos are getting rich either way. From Panama, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
And thanks for joining us for this Faith Nation special on the situation at the border. Have a great night.